Well, welcome back to Kinlaig. And on the last episode, we were broke. We were broker than broke. We have a £1.25 million loan that we cannot extend any further. We've capped that out. And we had £155 to our name. So, yeah, we were broker than broke. Now, some good news though. The house is ready. I now have a home to live in. That's fantastic. So we're going to have a look around that shortly. I've put a bit of block paving in. Did a bit of smoothing too. Again, all in all, not too bad. Again, since the last episode though, I must admit, a little bit of a faux pas. We did some build mode work towards the back end. We put in these production points, and I saved the game, came out of the game, then came back in the game now to find none of this was done. We were pretty much back to square one. In fact, we were at the beginning stages of where I'd left the episode realistically. Much to the point where my flag poles, my telephone poles there, have come back. So we don't need to worry about that issue now. I just won't hide the centre one because they're now back here. So I've had to place down all these build items. If I just put this back up. So I've put them in, and I'll be honest, I've made a much better job of putting the buildings in and levelling and smoothing the land. So I'm a lot more happy now than I was when we did it on camera. So on retrospect, it was a bonus, it was positive. I am a bit more wary on what I've done with tree planting, because with the red tape mod, if I cut down trees, I need to plant trees to offset the cutting. And I did some planting off camera on the last episode, and I can't remember if that was before the game save reverted or after, and I can't seem to see any here, so I am thinking it was the game reverted back before I did the tree planting. Which means if I don't offset the tree cuts, we're going to get fined again. Thankfully, not till December, but I need to be mindful of that. So I think I did say I was going to show you the tree planting, and I didn't, so let's do that now. Oh, there's our tractor back. I used auto drive to get him back. And you'll see the bank balance is £83,000, not 155. That's because I sent some more wood up to the castle. Right, so this mod, it's hand plant saplings. I've bought some, which ones are they? Maturian red pine is what I bought. I think they're probably the best in terms of capacity and quantity of what you get when you cut them down. But I think they also take the longest to grow. So we'll see on that one. So yes, I've got them. I have 10 saplings in my pouch. Right, you can't see the you can't go into third person with the pouch, so you can't see that. Okay. Right, let's get up to where I need to be with super speed. So what I did last time, I started here and just followed the grass line down was how I did it. So you basically have that. You then dig. So push and hold, for me it is circle. And plant. So you can see that little tiny plant there. And you can't plant one too close. I mean, I say too close. I still think that's quite close, relatively speaking, when these trees get to full growth, but for now, that's fine. So I've been doing that and then walking a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4 is roughly how I'm measuring it. Very precise. Another one. So what I really want to do is put all these 10 saplings down so I can then offset what I've been cutting. Now, I've topped the sawmill up, so we're going to get a few more. I need to pay this loan off as quick as possible, because it really is now becoming a bit of a hindrance. So we'll get that done, and then once we've got that balanced off, hopefully we can start making some positive inroads into expanding the farm. I do want to try and find a plot of land where I can plant trees like this in a bit more of a formal manner. So it just means that when we're cutting trees down, I can offset that, that balance. But also, I don't really want to cut all the trees down here, because I like the fact that my house and these productions are kind of surrounded by trees. So it would be a shame to cull all the trees that are making this area appealing. Right, that's that done. I did take some of these planks to... oh, where was it? The sell point that's just over yonder. Next time around there, we'll have a look at it and refresh my memory on its name, because the castle doesn't need them, and that was another way of getting a bit more cash in the bank balance. Good times now though. We have a field ready to harvest, which is the canola. So we'll get straight onto that. Again, positives, this capacity means I should get the full field in without having to unload. And then I'm going to put that into the silo where the forage pickup is there. And then we will watch whether we need to sell it now or sell it when it's the peak price. It looks like straw swath is on, which is good. We'll do 3 headlands. Oh yes, and it goes a bit faster as well, this one, doesn't it? This should be done in no time. Fantastic. So, for those who have been keeping up with the series, like I said, I'm testing red tape, and it is getting better and better by the day. Oz is taking a lot of positive feedback from both myself, Scroft, and other people who are in the testing pool, and he has made some massive changes to help improve that. And he's continuing to do so. I know Scroft on his videos has been putting out to his public audience who watch the videos to comment what they want to see in the red tape mod. So I'm going to kind of do the same here. Get this field done and harvested, then I'm going to go into a bit more detail on red tape, let you have a look at it, and if you have any comments or suggestions, add them to my comments, and I will absolutely feed that back to Oz, and we'll see what we get put in. I'm not entirely certain if I've put the most up-to-date version onto my game save today, but the last update that we got was there's now snow clearing contract, so the local council will pay you to clear the roads for snow. I don't know how much you get paid for that because we're not in the winter months yet, but it seems quite positive to do something, and obviously the winter is quite a dead time for farming and farm sim kind of activity. I know from my experience I tend to skip I tend to skip that second line too. I tend to skip the winter months. We get to kind of the November, December time, and then it's back to March, April. Normally April to start planting again. So having a bit of activity where we can do things over the winter will be quite positive. Now the other downside for me is I play on 1 day months, and I feel like we don't get a huge amount of snow for very long when I do that. And that could also impact on that snow clearing aspect of things. If you're playing 3, 4, 5 day months, you've got a bigger chance of getting snow for a lot longer. So we had a chance to do a lot more traction on mileage, distance. I think it's measured on how far you travel with the plough. but again, not done the testing on that one just yet. So yeah, so like I said, I want to go into it in a bit more detail. We'll see how we get on, and I think for those who, it will be PC only, but for those who are PC players, it's going to be an incredible mod. You're going to really, I think, enjoy it, and it will add an extra depth to the game. For those of you on console, unfortunately, Giants doesn't like script mods for console players, and I think that's more PlayStation or Sony is the reason, as opposed to Giants themselves. Unfortunately, this will never come to console. Well, that's the field all harvested. I figured since I waffled so much at the beginning of that harvest, I just thought cut to the end and then we will time-lapse something else, which will most likely be the straw pickup, because there is ample. We got 33,500 litres of canola off this field, so that is fantastic. Didn't expect quite as much of that, but I'm happy with that. So, red tape. Down here. So we have policies down here. We've got schemes, tax and event logs. So we'll start with the policies. Most of these are quite self-explanatory in terms of the titles of them, but we're going to more detail. So annual bedding, essentially have the cow barns or animal barns got straw down for bedding. If you do have them down and you don't have any hours without straw, you gain points. The more points you gain, the higher up the tier you get. The tier is accumulation of all the points for all the policies, so it's not just tier C for this policy, it's tier C for the collection of policies. You start at tier D. I'm currently on tier C, which is above 300 points. So up to 300 is tier D, 300 to 750 is C, and then we'll find out what. I think 750 to 1200 I think is B, and I'll be honest, I've not got to A yet. So yeah, so that's where we are on that one. Crop rotation, again, like it says, ultimately it's around putting a different crop in the field, so you're not putting the same crop. So if I put canola back in this field, then I'm going to potentially get penalised for that, because ultimately I've put the same crop in. So I need to rotate the field into a different crop to help fertility, pest diseases, like it says in the description. So with animal conditions, again, this is just about your animal's productivity and health, and as long as it's maintained in a good, positive way, and the animals are productive, so I assume for milkers that's producing milk, etc., then you gain points. And again, it'll label the hours with low productivity. The water contamination, now this one's a bit more of a mystery, because if you're spraying near a water source, which in the real world you shouldn't really be doing and you shouldn't do during certain months. So if you're doing that, you'll get penalised for it. But there's no warning on the map. So if I just take, for example, there's a water source down here, isn't there? So here, if I was spraying this field, is this far enough away from the water or is that too close? Again, is the time of year correct? Now, unfortunately, there's no way to really measure that, and it was flagged to Oz. He did look at it, but I don't think that he has a tangible way of being able to notify people if you're too close to the water edge. So I think it's going to be a case of we will put something down, and if we get penalised, we know that that is too close to the water edge. Now, obviously, if I was down here, then I suspect this is a definitive too close to the water edge, if that makes sense. Animal spacing. again, this is just purely around the population of the animal shed or the animal pasture, how many animals you got in, and then if they're overcrowded or not. Now, looking at this, I don't know in real terms what that means. I think the 3,434 meters cubed is probably the space I've got, and I suspect 12 meters cubed, squared, is probably where I need to be avoiding. So I'm well away from that, it seems, at the minute. But I also have very few animals in the cow shed currently. As that progresses, that might change quite rapidly. So that 3,434 might drop by half just by doubling the animals from 6 to 12, for instance. I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where we're going to have to monitor it. So manure management. Originally, this one didn't really tell you a great deal. You kind of just had to guess. Now, the basis was that if you accumulated, say, 10,000 litres of manure over 12 months, you had to at least use 5,000 litres over that same period. So you actually spread half your generated capacity in a certain time period, because ultimately manure shouldn't just sit there. I initially thought it was going to be every single month, so if I produced 1,000 litres, I just use 500 litres on a rolling basis, which again kind of makes sense to a point, but that's not how this is. I think it's twice a year it gets evaluated, but you get, I say that evaluated, where it gets assessed. Every month it'll be evaluated, which is what that's showing there. So actual manure spread, because we did the onion field, if you remember. Expected manure, so I only have to spread 1,500 litres, I spread 7,300 litres. And the rolling average manure level is 3,100. So I'm guessing I'm generating around 3,000 litres of manure every month. So I only have to spread 1,500 litres on that rolling basis. So let's say at the end of the year that comes down to, I don't know, just over 30,000 litres. I need to spread 15,000 litres. And I'd like to think, because I've spread 73,000 litres, I'm well above that, if that makes sense too. Slurry, haven't really done a great deal with this at the minute. Same principle, I imagine, is that again you need to spread that over a period of time, avoiding water sources, and I don't think you're allowed to spread it in certain months. I don't know if that's also a scheme that you sign up to or it's just automatically applied. Again, still testing it. Restricted slurry application. So yeah, that's the one where you can't spread it through September, December, otherwise you'll be penalised. So we're in July currently, which means we have this month plus next month where we can do slurry. Outside of that, we have to avoid it until New Year. I still think, and I might raise this to Oz, December might be too early, because at least for me in the region that I live, I get a lot of bad weather, or wet winter weather, in January, February. So maybe we need to be looking at maybe extending that from my perspective. But again, is September, October reasonable months where you could possibly still spread? I don't know. So I'm going to flag that I think December might be a bit too early from my perspective, because I think the January, February months are still quite wet and frosty. Animal feed, again, exactly what it says. It's just about being well fed and making sure there's no issues with their hunger. And again, you score points for that. And then sustainable forestry, which is the one that's going to impact us the most. It impacted us in the last episode where I had applied this new update, cut down 5 trees, moved to the next month, and that was during one of the 2 assessment months, so I got fined £4,000. So essentially last month I cut 5 trees, planted 10, and that's what it's picked up when I've rolled into the next month. Now I've put 10 more trees down this month when we were doing the earlier part of the episode, so I'm assuming that as of next month this will show trees planted either 20 because it's accumulation over the period of time, or again it'll say 10 plus how many I've cut down that month. And again, I think I cut 4 or 5 down before the episode started. So I'm expecting this to roughly stay the same or accumulate those additions. So again, 9 or 10 cut trees with 20 planted is what I'm expecting. So that is the policies. Now when it comes to schemes, schemes are what you can sign up to get something extra. So I don't often see the tractor demo one, so we're going to click on that one. I suspect it's going to be a John Deere, so we're not going to accept it, but I'm going to click on it. Oh, look, it's a John Deere. But this particular tractor demo means I can take this on for 2 months to test out the vehicle. It's like a leasing scheme, but you don't get any charges. After the end of the 2 months, it goes back to the store or into the wild of money, and it's basically letting you try what this vehicle's like. So if you want to buy it, you then have a better idea of what the vehicle's like without having to commit to it. Natural grazing, which is if you think my cows are currently in the cow barn with a pasture, if I let them eat meadow grass, then I could sign up to this and I'll get paid for letting them just graze naturally. Now at the minute I have a lot of silage in the cow barn, so they need to consume that before I could even be eligible for this. And because they're beef stock, I don't need them to be high producing in milk. So I don't need them to have 100% productivity or even 80% productivity. Meadow grass would be more than adequate. So I could sign up for this and be paid additional for the benefit of doing it that way. The natural fertilizer, again, things like slurry, manure, basically not using the solid fertilizer or the liquid fertilizer that you can buy from the store. If you're using chemical fertilizers, you get penalized. If you're using natural ones, you benefit. These are the current ones I've got active. Now, I don't think any of my farmland has grass in, so I've signed up to it, but I don't have grass fields, so I don't think I'm going to qualify for any payments, which is probably why that's saying 0 currently. But again, when we get our next evaluation month, I will find out if I get paid. If I do, fantastic. Now the rigid bale wrapping, very similar. So I'm going to go in this field and pick the straw up. Now if had this been grass that I'd cut, and then I picked it up with a forage pickup, I would be paid for that because I didn't bale it. If I bale it, I won't be penalised, I just wouldn't get the payment, if that makes sense. So that's currently what the policy and schemes are like at the minute. There are a few additional schemes there that haven't appeared or populated, and they will progressively do that over time, which is difficult for me to kind of show you now when they're not there. But yeah, really, really positive. Now, tax. This is the harder one. Or I say the harder one, this is the more painful one. So, we will look at the previous year statement, because I think the way the game works... Was it, yeah, I'm in July now, so it would have started August last year, and then it crosses into the new year. So it kind of qualifies this one as being... I still think I'm in the same tax year, but I don't know if April's maybe the tax year, which in the real world that is what it is. So it's free done August to March, is what this is based on. And the current year will be from April to July, and then obviously by the time the tax bill comes, it'll be April again. So the first quarter of my gameplay, I had 38,000 expenses. I had a taxable income of 94,000. I had all of that taxed, and I had that taxed at 20%. So I have 11,276 to pay, which will be taken out next month. So I need to have at least that in my bank balance to pay that tax bill. Now, I imagine if I had done something where I could have offset that taxable income, which I don't think I did. I think what's happened there is I have had £94,000 worth of product sold, and only expended £38,000. So if we add 38,000 to 94,000, I have maybe had £140,000 worth of overall income, but I've spent 40,000, so to deduct that from the tax bill, if that makes sense there. And obviously in the current year, I have had a £1.3 million expense with a £653 income. So I don't have a tax bill currently. So I need to keep that below 1.3 million to maintain a zero tax bill, is how I would perceive that. But again, we haven't sold any crop yet. I will have some more wood to sell, so all these things which will potentially increase that income will change things, but we'll find out next month. Now, the event log just basically gives you a run by each point that you've gained, each scheme. Like I said, there was a scheme there for tractor demo, but I didn't get to see it. It basically, I get this a lot, where in June I get this scheme started and then ended before it even appears. I don't know what that's about. I have flagged it out in the past, but I still don't fully understand it. That's why I got fined for the trees that I cut down. So I cut down 8 trees, and then we had the evaluation month. So again, penalised for that. I have asked Oz about that, and I think if I'm right in understanding, he's now put a lag on that. So I'm assuming that that means that if I cut down a tree in June, it's August when it gets assessed. And hopefully what that means is it will offset the month that I'm getting the fine. So either July or December, which are the current months, means that it will mean that if I don't cut them down in the relevant month, I won't get fined for them. But yeah. So yeah, so that's the mod. And I have waffled a lot on that, but I hope that's been beneficial. And if you're thinking of anything scheme-wise that would be useful to be included, again, please drop a comment. Try and be a little bit detailed in what you're going to suggest, so I can take that to Oz. But if you at least put a thought or an idea in, I can then reply to that comment and get more information if I think it needs more information for progression. Right, so let's get this straw picked up. I am going to probably time-lapse this, and I'm going to, at the minute, just dump this all in the multi-food silo. I think that's probably the easiest way of doing things. Because I don't need the straw for bedding currently. It's not really worth selling either at the minute, realistically. But I'm hoping I'll have better use for it in the future. So yeah, that's the plan. Now, can I set this to GPS steering? Right, I'm hoping that's going to line up, because that's exactly what my harvester was set up as. Does look like it is, so that's positive. Right, enjoy the time-lapse, and I will see you at the end. Right, well, that is the straw picked up and collected, put into the silo, and now I want to further develop the farm a little bit. And because we've finished our home project and the castle is well underway with the products we've sent up there, I was thinking of some holiday homes. And I think this little plot of land here, because we own this bit of land, if we cut down a couple of trees, create a bit more of a clearing, and then because it's next to the railway line, we could put a few holiday cabins up here. I believe they give you a monthly income, which would be very, very welcome and positive. And it gives us another set of projects to set the wood to. Would be my thoughts. So I am going to, off camera, cut down a couple of trees. And then I'm going to get the tractor and winch, and then I'll film that bit of taking it back to the sawmill. And then we'll place down a couple of the cabins. Hopefully, they won't take too long to complete. But they can just do that in the background, can't they? Nothing too problematic there. And then we need to earn more income. I'm hoping we're going to get a fair bit of wood by the end of the episode. In fact, I might increase the speed now to 5 anyway, because it's only 6:30 in the morning. By which stage we should have some wood spawned, we can sell that, and again, get some more money. Right, let me faff with the trees, find out which ones I want to cut, because I don't want to make the forest look empty, but I want to create a bit of clearing, just so we can produce the wood to then fill these holiday homes. Oh, pants. That went into this sawmill, didn't it? It did. I did not want that. Oh well, we have more trees, so let me try and get another one. And then let me try and avoid that reduction. How am I going to get this one out? This is the bit I didn't think about, cutting them in the middle of the forest. I'll try and pull it down first, and go from there. That's a bit of a shame. Where every cut counts towards a tree. I link the other one? No, can't. Now, how do I tighten the winch? Oh, it doesn't let me tighten it. That's a bit odd. Yes, it is. There we go. Right. Not gonna work, is it? Oh well, fantastic. Right, now to avoid that production, how do we do that? Try and go as wide as possible this time. Oh! Nice. Right, this is going to take a bit longer than I thought, so again I will, I think, come back to you when we are done. Right, well that is our sawmill topped up nicely. There's a capacity of 150,000 litres and that tree won't fit in, so we are full. We have a few wood beams and planks spawning, which is positive. Again, I think by the close of July we will have a lot more we can go in and sell. And then this one should be ticking over nicely. That should be distributing to this one. Is that not turned on? Does not seem to be. Right, so that should be producing wood chips. And then, yes, so sawdust is distributing. And here, once that starts filling, we can start producing these. I think we'll leave that one turned off for now because there's nothing in there. Perfect. Right, we'll check on that a little bit later. Okay, so holiday homes. We need to place some down. Do we find them? Yes, we find them here. Apparently we're going to get 2,500 or just shy of 2,500 a month, which would be good. I want... that's a lot of levelling for that. Doesn't look like it needs it either. Turn levelling off. No, I'm not. I can see the foot is just slightly higher. Right. We will level the land and then smooth it. One. Cut down a few trees here. There we go. The one down here. I cut down a few trees in here, so right, that's our 3 reductions so far. I have probably made my life very difficult in terms of getting the wood and products to them. But I think what I will end up doing is using a trailer and super strength to make my life a bit easier. I would like, I think, at least another 2 more. Can I delete these tents? Are they deletable? They are not. So, that's a bit of a shame. I could use object hider. I'm not going to though, because we remember what had happened on the last time with the telephone poles here. I don't want to risk it leaving something behind. So I don't have a pallet fork. Oh, that's where that tractor is. I remember I'd sent that down there. Okay, so there's some extra money straight away. Perfect. We have to get this back to the farm. I don't think there's a quick route. I'd like to cheat and go through the railway track, but I think that would be questionable at best. Can I chance it? No, I can't. I'm not going to chance that. It will topple over and I will embarrass myself. Just like that. Right, I'll see you back at the farm. Okay, so we'll pick up the wood. I didn't even check what we needed, to be fair. I'll take what we've got. We'll worry about what we need afterwards. 3 pallets of long planks and 2 pallets of wood beams. But hopefully get us underway. Yeah, so wood beams, plank longs. Plank long. Oh, we need a lot of wood beams and we haven't got enough of them. Fill this one up. That one's going. We will take other beams to this one. Take the other pallet to the other one? We might as well take the pallet to the other one. I'm going to drive that a bit closer though. Okay, so we have them. Is that one doing anything with just the one pallet in? No, it's going to wait until I get the other wood beam. In that case, when is the other wood beam going to spawn? Planks, not wood beam. That's a shame. Wood beams are going a little bit slower than I would like, but okay. Let me also activate this one that does everything. I don't necessarily need the short planks. This might speed up the wood beam. Doesn't feel like it has. That's a shame. Right, so we're at least underway. Our silage should be ready soon, if it isn't already. It is ready. There we go. So we can possibly get this taken out as well. How much is silage? It's not a bad price to sell it either. So we should get 34,000 for that. yeah, I think we'll do that. We need to plant. Oh, we need to plant 10 trees as well to cut off to offset the trees. I always forget how you refill this. There we go. Right, so where do we plant them? Oh, I left quite a few stubs there. Stubs. Right, I think we plant them around here then. In between trees. Then next month we will see what our balance is like. Are we positive with tree planting? Are we negative? Which will then determine how many more trees we can cut, because I suspect by the time next month comes we'll need more wood in the sawmill. Perfect. Right. In that case, we're now up to getting the silage. So I think what I'm going to do, I am going to just get the equipment out, load her up, get it to the sell point, and catch up with you when I get there. Okay, so this is our last trip. We're not getting a huge amount per load, but like I said, it's only going to be a total of about 35,000, wasn't it? So it has topped the bank balance a little bit. Now sitting at 111,000, not too shabby. We're going to get back to the farm, at least I'm going to get back to the farm. I am going to sell any wood beams and pallets that we can, but I think at the minute we're going to populate the holiday homes. And then I'm going to pretty much call this the episode. In fact, I'm going to call this episode now. I'm going to do all that when I do finish. And I will see you all in August, where I'm hoping we'll have a higher bank balance. We're going to purchase another field, and I would like to start looking at what crop to put into the field that we've just harvested. Oh, and the other good thing, I'm fairly certain next month the onions will be ready. So we'll have to have a look at the equipment. I know it's expensive, and I don't really want to lease the equipment. I would rather buy it. Yeah, so we're going to have to... Yeah, there's a lot to think about. Money is tight. I did not think I would be this many episodes in and still be tight on money. I'm normally a good schemer and dealer. Anyway, for those who have been watching, please hit that like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.